Annabelle Comes Home is the third film and hopefully final film of the Annabelle spin-off trilogy. The storyline, it takes place after The Conjuring. Basically, the Warrens take home the doll, and it's a beacon for other ghosts, so they decide to keep it locked up in their little room of cursed objects. However, when they are investigating a case, they're out of town. Their young daughter Judy, her babysitter's friend, crashes for the night, and she's reeling over the death of her father, so she's trying to contact him through a seance type thing. Accidentally frees Annabelle from the special case that protects the ghosts, I guess, and then the ghosts come after them. So this movie, not that great, to be honest. In all transparency, I do not like the first Annabelle film. I think it's one of the worst horror films of all time, mainly because of bad characterization. It feels rushed. Story-wise. Not story-wise, not like pacing-wise, but like they just made the movie to make money. And Annabelle Creation is actually a pretty solid horror prequel. I like that movie. So I was really confused because this movie was written by Gary Dauberman, same person who wrote the second film. He also directed this movie. However, this movie just feels a little underbaked. I mean, in the sense that, I like the cast, Vera Farmiga and Patrick in small roles, and you got McKenna Grace. She's great as the kid, and she's got the psychic powers as well as like her mom. And the other teenagers do well. It's just that there doesn't seem to be much story or much purpose for this movie. For example, there's a scene where one of the girls, Daniela, is in the cursed room, and she's watching herself on the television, but the television is cursed, and it's showing her like things that happen 15 seconds before it happens. And that doesn't go anywhere. I was expecting for her to watch herself get attacked on the TV and then have it attack her. It'd be a really cool sequence. Doesn't happen. Or there's a scene where the other girl, the babysitter, she has to get the doll who's hiding behind a ghost named the Ferryman, who I think he killed people and then put coins over their faces or eyes or something. And they don't even show that sequence. I was expecting all the corpses to get up and attack her. They just cut to black. They have her run out. It doesn't feel like some of the threats aren't really fleshed out. And then there's a love interest in there, and he literally hides in a chicken coop for most of the movie off screen. There's just really weird choices for all these characters. It doesn't feel scary. It feels more like a drama. They definitely work on the whole young girl Judy. She's alienated at school because they think she's a freak because her parents are, demonologists, and so she's very alienated, doesn't have a lot of friends, and then they don't really explore the psychic powers that much. But overall, Annabelle is another weak entry, and I think these movies have run their course, simply on the basis of that all of the threats in this movie are stuff that we've seen before, like the cliche woman in a wedding dress trying to stab you. We've seen something similar in The Conjuring or Insidious. Another thing I didn't like about this movie is there's no sense of atmosphere. The whole movie takes place inside the Warrens' home. However, they don't take advantage of having otherworldly sort of, gaps. Like, for example, I mentioned earlier that the babysitter has to go into this weird, catacomb full of dead bodies to get the doll, but they could have made that like a part of the house, like an adventure, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels, there's no sense of spacing or atmosphere. And meanwhile, movies like the Insidious have The Further, which is basically just the house again, but it's like another dimension, so you can sort of explore that a little bit more. Annabelle Comes Home doesn't have any of that. It just all takes place in one house, all within one room. Sometimes, they reuse the same rooms. They don't have a sense of space, we need to get here to here to here, It just kind of feels like, we can't leave the house because the door's locked, but now it's not unlocked, and there's no set rule system, and I didn't like that at all. I mean, the second film at least set up certain things, and it was definitely scary because they killed off a few characters. This movie feels like it's holding back its punches. And overall, Annabelle Comes Home is a bit of a disappointment for me. I wasn't expecting much, but I did like the last entry in the series. However, I feel like all of the movies have run their course, really. I mean, we've had 2 Conjurings, 4 or 5 Insidiouses, 3 Annabelles, they're making Crooked Man. I think it's time for this horror universe to just end, I think. So I give Annabelle Comes Home a 2 out of 10.